Aho, Gikinoo'amaadiwag. Anin, Kage Gabo and Dishinakaz. Mikanak and Dudem, Mikanak Wajawing and Dunjaba. Beshoga Kabakang and Danongom, Apajigo Miigwech Bizendaweg. In what I just said, there was a traditional Ojibwe protocol greeting. I said, hello, all of my relatives. My name is Kage Gabo. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live close to Minneapolis today, and I wanted to begin by thanking you all so much for tuning in and listening to this surprise live Ojibwe word of the day. For those of you who are just joining me for the first time, I did a live Ojibwe word of the day for the past 6 years on Facebook on Thursday nights. And I loved doing that. I recently took a break for a season. During the summer, I published my first book, The 7 Generations and the 7 Grandfather Teachings. That was an amazing process. I loved every moment of it. And now I'm just beginning to come back. I'm looking forward to speaking to you all on Facebook, as well as beginning my YouTube channel. I already have some videos on YouTube, but I wanted to begin streaming some live Ojibwe word of the day videos on YouTube. So I'm so excited about this. I'm trying out some new hardware. I've got a brand new mic. I'm kind of in a new environment. Maybe many of you remember the stones from the fireplace, which I love speaking at, but this is really fun too. So again, Bonjour in the Gikinoo'amaadiwag. Anin, Kage Gabo and Dishinakaz. Mikanak and Dudem. Mikanak Wajawing and Dunjaba. Beshoga Kabakang and Danongom. Hello, all of my relatives. My name is Kage Gabo. I'm Turtle Clan. I'm a descendant of Turtle Mountain. I live close to Minneapolis today. And I wanted to discuss this word that struck me as I was dropping my son off at school this morning. I've had a chance over the past week to work with several school districts, both local, national, and international. With the international, it was in Canada, Gikinoo'amaadiwag, where I had a chance to talk with educators dealing with Orange Shirt Day, in acknowledgement of those children who survived the residential school experience and acknowledging and remembering those who didn't. I had a chance to speak with educators here in northern Minnesota about Indigenous Peoples Day and share some culture, some history, and some of the spirituality with Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Chippewa, Nakaway, Saulteaux people. And I'm looking forward to Anishinaabe Wigijigan, to Indigenous Peoples Day. That'll be coming up on Monday. And when I was dropping my son off at school, the word for school just popped up in my mind. And when I was thinking about what I would talk about on my first live Ojibwe word of the day that I've done in like a season, as I was thinking about this topic, I looked outside and no kidding, Migizi, a bald eagle was soaring overhead. So I'm like, okay, this is the topic. Let's talk about Gikinoo'amaadiwag, where they teach each other. Because the word that came to my mind when I was dropping off my son was Gikinoo'amaadiwag. That's our Ojibwe word for school. It's literally where they teach one another. And when I look at that word, its root is Gikin. The ain is pertaining to knowledge, to wisdom, to the mind. And the gik may be something in search of, looking for. So to Gikin done, it's to know something. Gikin dasuin would be knowledge. And this, I think in the very beginning, it's an important point to make. In Ojibwe, as well as different languages, there's a difference with knowledge, Gikindasuin, and Nipwakawin, wisdom. This will show up in Indo-European languages like French. There's a savoir and connaître. In ancient Greek, this was gnosis, knowledge, and sophia, wisdom. Ojibwe makes the same distinction. So what they're speaking about here is knowledge. It's something pertaining to the mind. So if we look at some of these words, Gikindan is to know it, Gikinum is to know someone, as well as if we look at our word for student, Gikinoo'amaadiwag, someone who is being taught. I learned that one from a fluent first language speaker. Another one, the Gikinoo'amaadiwag, he or she teaches. And then you have a teacher, he or she teaches. And then you have Gikinoo'amaadiwag, a school. Literally a lodge, a building where they teach one another. Now, I love the descriptive nature of the language of this word. It's inferring that if you are in school, if you're a student, you're going to learn, obviously. But they're also pointing out that if you're a teacher, if you're present, if you're attending the situation, if you're observing, you too are going to learn. You're going to learn from the students. You're going to learn from your environment. You're teaching one another. But when I looked at that word doesn't Gikinoo'amaadiwag, where they teach one another. For me, it's more insightful, and it's not just learning in the context of school, of an educational institution. Gikinoo'amaadiwag, where they teach one another, when you conjugate the verb that way, for me means, and from my own personal experience, is that whenever I've shown up in whatever circumstance it may be, not necessarily just school, but visiting with elders, learning from knowledge keepers, listening to fluent first language speakers, or just meeting people on an everyday basis. If I am able to fully attend, if I am showing attention, if I'm aware of how I'm relating, that awareness, every single time I have done that in a meeting, in an interaction, in an environment, I have learned something. I have walked away learning something. Gikinoo'amaadiwag, where they teach one another, reminds me that no matter what we're doing in our everyday life, because it can be easy to kind of sleepwalk through it. It can be easy to call it in. But if you're totally being aware, if you're present, if you're attending the situation, you are going to learn something. This is the nature of true, genuine intelligence. So I try to remind myself that on a daily basis. And so I hope that for those of us who have sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, cousins, maybe even aunts and uncles or grandparents or ourselves who are going back to school, that while you're in that process of learning, that you're attending, that you're listening, you're being aware. If you are teaching in those circumstances, and Apajigo Miigwech Gikinoo'amaadiwag, thank you so much to the teachers who are getting this year started off in a great way. Just to say, to be aware, to be present, and not just in school. As you're going through today, to be totally aware, to be present, to attend, to treat it with great care and affection. You too will walk away learning something today. So I want to take a moment and say, Apajigo Miigwech Bizindawye. Thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. I am looking forward to keeping in touch with you. Check out my YouTube channel, and I'll be here on Facebook as well. I want to take a moment and say Miigwech Bizindawye. Thank you all so much for listening. I also want to say Dagasai Guamasik. Please, all of you, do take care, and and the spirit shall decide when we see each other again. Miigwech.